Welcome to Smash Writing. I'm Paul. This is Anthony, and today we are going down the road of the Mission Impossible. And today we are now talking about MI3, Mission Impossible 3, starring Tom Cruise, the late Philip Seymour Hoffman, Lawrence Fishburne's in here, Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, a star-studded cast. Now, last week when we talked about Mission Impossible 2, we both basically agreed that it took a step in the wrong direction. Will Mission Impossible 3 take a step back in the right direction and get this franchise back on track? Now, MI3 came out in 2006, which marks the 10th, which would mark 10 years since the franchise started. Now, mostly films have sequels that come out every 2 to 3 years. I was impressed that this one was literally 4 years for the second one, then 6 years for the third film. So obviously they're not shoving it down our throat. And I also get it. Tom Cruise was a big actor during. He's still big, but his peak was really in this time frame anyway. So let's get into the plot, shall we? So basically now, here we are. No mention of Naya, despite them having a relationship. Nope. Instead, Ethan Hunt is engaged and soon to be married to a woman named Julia, who is unaware of his actual career. Because after the events of his second film, at some point he retired from the active field duty. He begins to train future spies. So he can get away with by telling his wife that he is a future. He is a DOT. He works for the Department of Transportation. Cool. But let's rewind it for a second, because I did forget the memory that the scene actually, the movie starts with Ethan Hunt being captured. It's a mid-film scene that starts as the opening scene where he is in a chair and we don't know at the moment that he's looking at his wife, and Philip Seymour Hoffman's character Owen is like, hey, tell me where the rabbit foot's at. By the time I get to 10 hours, I'm going to blow her brains all over your goddamn face. No, I'm just kidding. But, so, in all fairness, the scene ends when he counts to 10 and it goes black and he pulls the trigger. And you see a pissed off Ethan Hunt. Now we take a step back while going forward, and that's when you see them having their engagement party or something like that, to where everybody's really meeting Ethan Hunt for the first time. And, all the, oh, he's so cute. Like, oh, shut up. Like, nobody says that. Like, please stop. But I'll forgive it, because that's really the only cute, overboard cuteness crap you kind of see. So, here we are. During the party, Ethan Hunt gets a call from, I guess the title is program manager or whatever, somebody from the IF, and they meet up, and he hints at, like, here's a mission, and Ethan, being Ethan, sees that the mission is to get back one of his former trainees that he probably felt was, an agent that's going to be just like him. So he forms his team together, and they go and they rescue her. Which actually, they successfully get her, but little do they know that there's a chip planted in her head, basically like a little mini bomb that once it's activated, it fries her and kills her. Okay, turkey. So now we get Ethan that's like pissed off, and then once again another mission is to find the rabbit's foot and bring down Owen. While at the same time we have a director starring Lawrence Fishburne is the director, and he's getting tired of these antics that they're using and stuff like that. But the manager person, he's like, no, 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 this is Ethan's the man. So they put him on the mission to get the rabbit's foot. They successfully do get the rabbit's foot, but then this is where it starts to go south because Owen is not the person you really want to mess with. He's a very powerful in the black, not the black market, but in the the black market. He's a very powerful guns and weapons and shit like that type of person, and he doesn't take too kindly to all this. So, literally, as they're getting him back to the U.S. Ethan is pissed at because Lindsay, his trainee that Owens killed, was one of his best that he was really close with. So as an attempt to try to throw him off the plane, which he's trying, Luther reveals, he calls him by his name, Ethan, stop, this is not you. While Owens, despite him almost falling out of the plane and dying and all of that, he's calm. He's a criminal. He's a mastermind criminal. And he's like, Ethan, okay, we'll see about this. This is not the last of me. And Owens is right. He's able to break out a prison, and he finds out who Ethan is, finds out he's the agent, Ethan Hunt, he's married, and he goes after Ethan's wife, Julia. Julia is a nurse and a doctor, but it's well known, and she gets kidnapped by his team. Ethan makes the ultimate choice to make it personally and go towards to try to find Owens. But the director in all of this is pissed. He's like, whoa, homie, what up? You had a mission, you let Owen go, and now he's pissed. Now he has the rabbit's foot and everything, or he knows of the rabbit's foot. We are screwed. You did something wrong. This is a trend to where it's like, okay, you have a super spy agent, whatever you want to call him, and he's literally now back to being suspect number one. It's a cheap little twist, whatever. So they arrest him, and the manager, who acts like he's on the director's side, he's still saying, like, he's talking to Ethan in code, and gives him like a knife and a key to get out and go complete the mission of getting the rabbit's foot. Thank you. So he gets out. Now he has to try to find the rabbit's foot because now Owen already talked to him like, yo, I got your wife. You get me the real rabbit's foot or I want to blow her brains out. Okay. So Ethan and his team, they're going for the rabbit's foot. They get the rabbit's foot, and then a fight ensues. And that's when Ethan is captured. He's locked up in a chair, and then he sees his wife. So now we're back to the beginning scene, and that is where we see the scene play out. Blows her brains. We don't need to repeat everything that was going on. And then here comes the manager that was supposed to be on Ethan's side. He's not. He's incoherent. He's he's in a team with Owen to get this rabbit's foot and do some crazy shit. So now we kind of have two trends going on. Okay, we have a constant trend of blaming Ethan Hunt, and then we have a constant trend of one of the lead suspects is in the MIF. What the hell, man? Like, anytime that's a new character's introduced and I thought the director was going to be a criminal too. I mean, it's getting that cheesy. It's getting cheap writing. But anyway, so we move on. We see that the manager reveals, like, no, that's not Jolie. It was just a I guess like they labeled her as like an interpreter for Owen, who pissed them off. So they like sealed her mouth. They taped her mouth and put the mask over her to make her look like Julie, so she wouldn't speak. But the manager reveals that they actually still have Jolie, and he's the reason why she is alive. So, which at this point Ethan Hunt's just pissed. So he's like, he breaks out, headbutts him, and kills him. And so now we have them hunting down Owen, and it comes down to the epic end, the traditional fights, and Ethan saves his wife. Okay. Now, obviously, he has to come clean to her because he's told her that he's a DOT person, and in reality, he's a spy, which he finally reveals as they walk off into the sunset like he is an agent, this is what he does, blah, blah, blah. The end. What are your pros and cons about this film?
It still feels like the pros is I like how that it starts out where they capture Ethan Hunt, and that's the storyline makes sense because the Owen Hoffman Owens, who has the rabbit foots, or he's taking that, but then he's also holding people hostage. So I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to get the IMF to go in his direction so he can sabotage them. But it's still, to me, it doesn't feel like an action movie. That's the con. It doesn't. It still feels more like a sci-fi kind of a. It's hard for me to follow. It's because it's more like, well, now I got your wife. You're gonna come get me. It's like, there was some fighting going on, and I like the fighting and everything, and I always like the action and the fighting. But that storyline, it's just like. Now you're chasing him. Now, he's not focusing on what his real mission is, to get the rabbit's foot. Now he's got to go after people he's trying to rescue his wife. He tried to rescue an ex-agent. And it's just harder for me to follow. But, I get the storyline and I can follow that in all the action. But it's just, once again, it's still kind of chopped up to me. So that's pretty much what I have to say on that.
And what would you give it as a grade?
I have to give it about an 85.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, some of the things that I did enjoy, Philip Seymour Hoffman's character Owen. I really did enjoy this new not super villain, but he was calm and collective during all of this. Like, you had a guy ready to fall out of the plane, and he didn't. And he didn't buckle. Sometimes you see villains where when they have a moment of weakness, they're going to have a moment of weakness.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that with Owen. Introducing Simon Pegg to the group as Benji. Now, Benji is another computer person, which to me kind of like waters down Luther's character too, because now you have two computer techs. I mean, I guess you can say Luther is kind of on the security side, where Benji's kind of on the hacking side. It doesn't make sense, but sure, whatever, go with it. I love the introduction of Lawrence Fishburne as the director. He is a great actor. He is, a powerful actor. He kind of stills the scenes with his presence, and I'm 110% behind him. So I think the up in the cast. I'm not the biggest Simon Pegg fan. I'm really not. His overacting sometimes just annoys me in his situations, and I'm just like, damn it, you had to introduce him into this film series. But he obviously became a fan favorite character, because he's in later films as well.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm actually kind of getting annoyed is, okay, I know Benji and Luther is his main, but they always try to have, somebody else in the team that's, a new member that doesn't cross over to the next film. I'm getting kind of annoyed with that. Okay. The next thing is that's kind of bothering me is that this is now a repeated trend that you are accusing Hunt of doing something wrong. Not, the CIA arrested him. No, the agency themselves are arresting him. Like, how many times now do we got to see that Ethan, in the first film, they accused Ethan as being the mole and giving out information to a criminal organization. The second film, after he cleared his name, he went on this epic battle to basically save the world. And then in this film, again, you're accusing him of being the rogue agent. Stop accusing him. It makes no sense for you to do this. And yet they're doing it over and over again. And another thing that's another trend is now, this is the third film. I mean, it's the third film of the series, but it's the third film that once again your villain is involved with the MIF. Why? Like, that is cheap writing. Now, with that being said, that is some cons for me. Now, it's crazy because it sounds like I'm completely bashing this film. That, it took a step in the wrong direction. I'm not going to say that. Now, is this the perfect film? By no means. Could this have been a much better film? 110%. You're still giving me a spy film with weak intelligence. That's what you're doing. We've caught on that new characters and villains are going to be tied all to the MIF, the Mission Impossible Task Force. You're basically giving us the villains, and you're not making us think about it. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're basically how the series has played out to this point is, and it's going to be a repeated trend. I'm telling you, is that there's going to be a main villain that's outside of the MIF, and there's going to be a inside villain of the IMF. Mm-hmm. So anybody that's an agent is already, pinpoint as of, you're not hiding things. If you're going to give me a thriller or a spy film, you have to cover up facts. You have to give me something new. Now, with that totally being said, I am giving this film a 90%. Back on track with the first film. Most series, they will take a dive. So finding this to be in the right direction is reassuring. What did I like to give it a 90%? The action was there. Like, that was fine. They had strong people being actors. You had Lawrence Fishburne. Even Simon Pegg. Philip Seymour Hoffman, the late Philip Seymour Hoffman. Great actor. He shined in as this cool collective villain named Owen. You gave us some great things. You introduced, a couple new characters, and so forth. So in the end, I'm giving it a 90%, but I almost feel like a 90% is a bad thing for this film because this film had greater potential. And mind you, the series has been around now for 10 years. What can we do for the fourth film? We'll find that out next week when we review MI4 Ghost Protocol, I believe the fourth one is called. But until next time, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.